Oh boy, yeah, wow. Wow. Hi again, welcome to SportsCenter with and Dan. Brought to you by McDonald's, the at-home edition. No Jay, it's the start of the week in June. That means the tall guy is taking the day off because it's a pandemic, why not? Hey, speaking of pandemics, when you heard that some states were going to reopen, you probably thought, is that a good idea? And will cases spike? Yeah, they did. And Texas is a hotspot right now, and that has now got the NFL concerned because there have been positive cases in both the Cowboys and Texans camps. According to the NFL Network, several members have reportedly tested positive for COVID-19 on both teams. Among the players who tested positive were Cowboys star running back Ezekiel Elliott, whose agent confirmed the positive test, but said his client's feeling fine. It's believed that these players did not catch the virus at the team facilities. This news comes as Texas has been a major surge in COVID-19 cases, with the state setting new records for hospitalizations in the past 7 days. And it is time for the virtual Coors side seats with our good buddy, the NFL Network's Mike Garafolo. Mike, great to see you. Two-part question to start off with. How's Ezekiel Elliott handling all this news and his condition? And also, what's going to go on with the Cowboys and Texans with all these positive tests?
Zeke did tweet out HIPAA in reference to the HIPAA laws here, which usually cover players in reference to medical professionals. Not your agent, though. Your agent isn't regulated by HIPAA laws. So Ezekiel Elliott's agent, Rocky Arsenault, was the one that confirmed to us at NFL Network that his client had tested positive for the COVID virus. Between the Texans and the Cowboys, we're told it's about 7 or so cases right now with those two teams, and that protocols were followed once it was learned which players were positive. And those protocols right now are stay away from that player, and that player, please, you get yourself and you self-quarantine so that this thing doesn't spread any further. It's not like teams are together right now, but guys have been together, such as with the Texans and a group of players from other teams as well at George Floyd's funeral last week. So those players, the team is monitoring those players right now to see if there are any further cases right now. But this highlights the issue right now that the NFL is trying to tackle as we get closer to training camp to figure out what happens, because you know you're going to have positive tests. Even the NFL's chief medical officer, Alan Sills, said that that would be the case.
Well, Mike, you just kind of touched upon it there. The NFL hasn't really announced any formal return to play protocols. When can you expect those? And is this going to drastically change how those are implemented now?
Dan, we're looking for that in the next month or so. Now, the NFL Players Association had a call with all of their registered agents, and on that call, the union's executive director, Damaris Smith, said they are hoping to finalize protocols for return to work for training camp with the league within the next 30 days. So I'm looking for those to come as we get closer to the time where players are supposed to report. We're 6 weeks away, so it's going to be pretty much right up against that, and that'll be the best estimation, the best agreement that the sides can come to at that point, knowing that things may have to change. We don't know what's going to happen, if there's going to be a significant second wave of the virus, how many players are going to be affected, and whether or not they can quarantine those players. Because once you get a positive test, you get that guy away from the rest of the team, and you hope that you can contain it, and then he can return to play. But there's a lot of things to work out, including the financials between the union and the league as they decide how often to test players. Right now, by the way, the estimate being 3 times per week. So we'll see. I mean, these are some of the issues that have tripped up some of the other leagues. The NFL has had the advantage of being nowhere near their season, but we're starting to get near the season, and the teams and the players are going to need some answers.
Appreciate it, buddy. He is our NFL insider, Mike Garafolo. Controversy at Oklahoma State, all because of a T-shirt that head coach Mike Gundy wore. Now, I can tell you, this problem it was actually solved pretty quickly thanks to social media and an understanding gentleman who wore that shirt. Okay, let's give you all the details here. Now, a picture surfaced of Gundy wearing an OAN shirt on a fishing trip June 10th. That is what sparked the controversy. One American News, that is OAN. It's a far right-leaning pro-Donald Trump news network that's been highly critical of the Black Lives Matter movement. The picture prompted this response from Chuba Hubbard via Twitter. I will not stand for this. This is completely insensitive to everything going on in society, and it's unacceptable. I will not be doing anything with Oklahoma State until this changes. Hubbard's teammate and fellow Canadian, Aman Agbongbamiga, showed his support, saying, "I stand with them." Now, Oklahoma State's president, he responded by saying, "I hear and respect the concerns expressed by our black student athletes. This is a time for unity, a purpose to confront racial inequities and injustice. Will not tolerate insensitive behavior by anyone at Oklahoma State." Now, a video was posted by Gundy and Hubbard late Monday night.
In light of today's tweet with the t-shirt I was wearing, I've met with some players and realized it's a very sensitive issue with what's going on in today's society. And so we had a great meeting and made aware of some things that players feel like that can make our organization, our culture even better than it is here at Oklahoma State. And I'm looking forward to making some changes, and it starts at the top with me, and we got good days ahead.
I'll start off by first saying that I went about it the wrong way by tweeting. I'm not someone that, has to, tweet something to make change. I should have went to him as a man, and I'm more about action. So that was bad on my part. But from now on, we're gonna focus on bringing change, and that's the most important thing.
Bringing change, that's on the mind of a lot of NBA players who don't feel it's the right time to return to play. That being Dwight Howard, he's spoken up. Kyrie Irving, he's spoken up saying if they come back and play, that's not the right call because it takes attention away from the Black Lives Matter movement. Commissioner Adam Silver addressed those concerns Monday.
Things are changing around us. Again, the social unrest in the country was in the same way we could never have predicted the pandemic would unfold in the way it has. What's happened since George Floyd's death is also unprecedented. And again, I'm incredibly sympathetic and empathetic to what's happening in people's lives. And in the midst of all that, to say we're looking for an opportunity to restart this league, to try to move forward with crowning a champion, it's not top of mind for a lot of people. For us, we feel this is what we do. We put on NBA basketball. We think that for the country, it'll be a respite from enormous difficulties people are dealing with in their lives right now. And I also think in terms of social justice issues, it'll be an opportunity for NBA players in the greater community to draw attention to these issues, because the world's attention will be on the NBA in Orlando, Florida, if we're able to pull this off.
Hall of Famer and TNT analyst Charles Barkley was a guest on ESPN's Get Up Monday and had this to say about the possibility of the NBA players boycotting the rest of the NBA season.
I think it'll be stupid to not play for two reasons. Number one, if they don't play, they're going to be out of sight, out of mind for the rest of the year. There won't be no cameras following. And, LeBron is probably the most famous athlete in the United States. He won't be visible anywhere. And so us out of sight, out of mind. Also, these guys got to realize this money going to come back, and they're going to lose billions of dollars that the players could use to go into their own communities and do some great stuff. So it's not good on any front. I have no idea what Kyrie and Dwight are talking about, but it'll be a catastrophic mistake not to play.
The WNBA has officially announced a plan for return to play. The league has made an agreement with IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida, to host this season, which would start in late July. A key element of the proposal is that the players will receive 100% of their salaries, despite the regular season schedule being reduced from 36 games to 22. Wish I had such good news to say about Major League Baseball, but that's not the case. If you've been paying attention to the negotiations between the MLBPA and Major League Baseball, they do not like each other, and it got more contentious on Monday as the MLBPA responded to the latest baseball proposal. And the problem with it is Are we going to Rob Manfred? Yeah, we're going to go for Manfred because they responded to Manfred, what he says in this next clip. I'll read you the MLBPA statement after this.
I had been hopeful that once we got to common ground on the idea that we were going to pay the players full prorated salary, that we would get some cooperation in terms of proceeding under the agreement that we negotiated with the MLBPA on March 26th. Unfortunately, over the weekend, while Tony Clark was declaring his desire to get back to work, the union's top lawyer was out telling reporters, players, and eventually getting back to owners that as soon as we issued a schedule, as they requested, they intended to file a grievance claiming they were entitled to an additional $1 billion. Obviously, that sort of bad faith tactic makes it extremely difficult to move forward in these circumstances. The only thing I can tell you is that the owners are committed to trying to find a way through this and getting the game back on the field. It's just a disaster for our game. Absolutely no question about it. It shouldn't be happening. And it's important that we find a way to get past it and get the game back on the field for the benefit of our fans. We are running out of time. The clock is ticking on this, but the important first step is a willingness on the part of the MLBPA to get back at the table and engage in the process. I'm not confident. I think there's real risk, and as long as there's no dialogue, that real risk is going to continue.
Is it ever a disaster? Here's that statement I was talking to you about. This is from Tony Clark, the MLBPA executive director. Players are disgusted that after Rob Manfred unequivocally told players and fans that there would 100% be a 2020 season, he has decided to go back on his word, is now threatening to cancel the entire season. Any implication that the Players Association has somehow delayed progress on health and safety protocols is completely false, as Rob has recently acknowledged the parties are very, very close. This latest threat is just one more indication that MLB has been negotiating in bad faith from the beginning. This has always been about extracting additional pay cuts from players, and this is just another day and another bad faith tactic in their ongoing campaign. So, yeah, I don't think we're going to see baseball. All right. Just doing a shift. Sitting on a very hard chair. No walk. Plus, it's hot in here. The NHL, they're chugging along. They're trying to get things back into play. Still don't know any hub cities. And what happens if the players who return to play, if any of them test positive? That's a question I've had, and it's a question that Gary Bettman addressed.
Players are going to be tested every day, as will the supporting personnel. And if there's one positive test, again, this will be under the strict guidance of the medical people, that person will be isolated and we'll be monitoring anybody through contact tracing that was in close proximity. Obviously, for any sport, if you have a major outbreak, it's going to change everything. But we're being told that an isolated case or a couple of isolated cases shouldn't interfere with the plans, and we should be able to move forward. And again, the notion and the way we've handled this is to create a bubble where we're basically COVID-19 free. And we now open training facilities, and players are returning literally from all over the world, and they're being tested. And when we go to training camp, there will be more testing. So by the time we get to what we call phase 4, which is the actual playing in the 2 hub cities, we should have a pretty good sense of what our population is and how well they've been tested and monitored. We are working particularly with the Canadian government about determining how we can deal with moving from the training camp phase to a possible hub in Canada, because obviously if the players would have to quarantine for 14 days in between training camp and going to the hub, that wouldn't work.
Good to see Gary as a hockey net in his backyard. Alphonso Davies has been voted the Bayern Munich Player of the Month for May. 19-year-old left back scored twice while completing 83% of his passes, helping Bayern win all 4 games last month. Bayern can win the league title on Tuesday with a win. It'll be their 8th consecutive league title. Not sure if you caught it, the Charles Schwab tournament was this past weekend. We had rounds 3 and 4 on TSN. It was great to see golf. No fans, but it was still great to see golf. They even went to a a playoff. Bob Weeks watched every second of it, and he now has a new segment in which he talks about the fun things that he saw during the return to play. In this new segment called Alternate Shot, he's with Kara.
Bryson DeChambeau blew up golf Twitter this past weekend. He put 45 pounds on since the end of last season. He says it's all strategy, but Bob, will the strategy work?
Well, we're going to find out. The last 20 of those 45 pounds he put on during the pandemic pause, he said he did it by working out 3 times a day and drinking 5 protein shakes every day. He averaged 340 yards off the tee. That was obviously #1 last week at the Colonial Country Club at the Charles Schwab Challenge, way out in front of everybody else in the field. But it's interesting to note that he isn't just a power hitter now. He does still have a lot of the rest of his game. If you look at some of the other stats, he was 1st in scrambling, he was 3rd in strokes gained approach, and 3rd in greens in regulation. So if you can keep this power and all the rest of the parts of his game that have been working for so well for so many years now, look out. He might send a lot of other PGA Tour players to the gym, including Graham DeLette, who looks like he's working out quite a bit already.
Interesting strategy. Maybe Rory McIlroy could benefit from that. He did not have a great day on Sunday. He came into the day in contention and then shot a final round 74. He is still the world #1, but these Sundays have become very hit or miss for Rory.
They certainly have. Sunday is not fun day for Rory McIlroy. He dropped 23 spots on the leaderboard. And it's interesting to note, in 3 of the last 4 rounds, on the final rounds, he's been over par. And if you look at his scoring average round by round, he ranks 1st in first round scoring average, 4th in second round scoring average, 3rd in third round scoring average, and 122nd in the final round scoring average. He has got to figure out Sundays, and if he ever does, boy, look out, he could add a lot more to his win totals.
Well, for us, it is all about Mondays, and that is when you can check out Alternate Shot each and every week on SportsCenter and TSN.ca with our own Bob Weeks. Thanks.
Did you know we've been doing a podcast for 10 years? That's a long time. That's a lot of talking. Not even a pandemic stopped us. Listen to the Jay and Dan podcast wherever you find your podcasts. Time now for Who Delivered, presented by McDelivery. On this day in 2014, Kawhi Leonard, and the Spurs beat LeBron and the Heat to win the franchise's 5th NBA championship. At just 22 years old, Kawhi became the 3rd youngest player to win Finals MVP behind just Magic Johnson and Tim Duncan. In 2014, Kawhi and the Spurs definitely delivered. I had McDonald's for lunch today. Big Mac combo with a root beer and a junior chicken on the side. You blew it. We pointed out our errors. I really butchered Chuba Hubbard's teammate's name, Emin Ogbongbemiga. Ogbongbemiga. There we go. I apologize for that. The tall guy, he's back with us tomorrow. So we'll definitely screw up a lot more. See ya.